Alright guys, welcome to the channel. This is a must watch if you're looking to purchase some generators and maybe you don't have a ton of experience with different brands and sizes. If you're looking at something that I want to call in the 80cc class, or if you're looking for something more mid-size that's in the 200cc class, this is a great video for you. I live off grid. I've been out here for 3 years and all of my power comes from generators. I've had a lot of different brands and sizes. So this is going to be from my personal experience as a consumer, what I think about some of these brands, what I think about the different sizes, and what might be right for you depending on what your needs are. So hang in there and check it out, and I hope this is helpful. Now you might be asking yourself, hey, if we're focusing on this, then why did you have that Predator running? I wanted to show you that this Predator running next to this 2300 IH is actually quieter than this 2300 IH. Not trying to beat up on it or anything. It is a very nice generator. It's got a lot of what I'm going to call high-end features. You got that handle. All of the buttons are weatherproof. You can see your loads and hour meter and everything. But guess what? It's loud. It's noisy, in my opinion. And there's the 1500 watt infrared heater. We're going to turn that on and then listen to the increase in noise with a 1500 watt load. This generator is rated for 1900 watts constant running. All right, well, there you have it. You can hear what it sounds like with a full load on it. And in my opinion, it's a little loud and it sounds a little rattly. I'm not a fan. I got to be honest with you. Okay, so you can see the load center there. It's showing 1400 watts. It's actually 1500 watts. But this is actually a brand new unit. It's got 4.5 hours on it. It was recently replaced because the last one had dropped a valve, but they did replace it under warranty. All right, let's start with the obvious. There's a rattle. It's coming from the wheels. Is that something that can be fixed? I believe so. If you can't fix stuff, that's something you're going to have to deal with. Second most obvious thing, it has electric start, and that's amazing. It's a fantastic feature to have, and that means something to me. Now, the Predator has some type of what I'm going to call load center. It just shows the output voltage. I think that that's irrelevant. The Duramax shows your output voltage, your hours, the loads. That's really important, and I think that that's a great feature. Now, if you have the Predator, I think putting a vibration activated hour meter on there would be a great idea, just because it's important to do these oil changes. Typically it's 100 hours, and it's real easy to get confused on when did I do an oil change last, how many hours has it been. So I think not having an hour meter for them is just a poor choice, because it's easier for the customer to do their maintenance, and it's easier for the manufacturer to be aware of how many hours are actually on this machine in what I'm going to call a warranty scenario. So that's just my 2 cents on that. And then the Predator is much quieter, and it's a 220cc motor. All right, well, that is obviously much quieter. That's why I showed that the heater was actually on. Hardly any difference in sound, in my opinion. Now, you can hear those wheels vibrating all the way from that distance. It's probably about 75 feet. That annoys me. I'll fix that because I'm a picky person. But this thing, in my opinion, is super quiet, and you have more power range. The running watts on this is 3,000 watts, and the max watts is 35. I think this is a much more usable power range. So there you go. All right, so you can see that this one has a push button start. It actually has remote start, which is absolutely my favorite feature on this thing. Now, this is also a warranty replacement unit. My previous one had 7,000 hours on it. I went to replace a starter and messed something up, and now it's not running. I got to figure out what's going on with that. So this thing will 100% last, and the load center is the same as the 2300 IH. It shows you the hours, the output voltages, and all of that. This is, what I'm going to consider a very durable generator. 3600 running watts, 4500 peak. The peak watts is nice because if you have like air conditioners turning on, some high load items that spike it up, you have more forgiveness there than you do with that Harbor Freight. Its peak voltage is 3500 and the running watts are 3000. But yeah, that's they put this 1500 watt load on here and see, what it sounds like in comparison to the Harbor Freight. They're not apples to apples, but they are kind of similar. So let's check it out and see what goes on there. All right, so the Duramax, in my opinion, is definitely louder than the Harbor Freight. The Harbor Freight, I think, is like a 221cc, and the Duramax is 223cc, so the engine size shouldn't really play any factor into that. In my opinion, the Duramax has a less pleasant tone. It's got this kind of whiny sound, like a gear drive or a supercharger or something like that. So it's louder. I don't care for the tone. The engine sizes are similar. Now, I don't really know much about this Predator. I haven't put any hours on it or anything like that. But if I was just going to base it off of volume and engine tone, I would much rather prefer to listen to the Predator. But it doesn't have a remote start. I mean, if that thing had a remote start, it would be a knockout of a unit, especially when you consider the price difference, which we'll talk about later. So you've heard them all. Let's talk about this XP2300 IH. I purchased this on sale for $5.99. It's regularly sells for $6.99. In my opinion, this is at the top of the price point for generators in this category. However, it is loaded with features. It's dual fuel, which really doesn't mean anything for me because it's cheaper to run off of gas for my personal use. You can see some of the features here. It's an 80cc. To touch on the features, that load center with the hour meter, weatherproof switches. I mean, there's a lot of nice stuff going on there, so there is value to be had. I don't have a decibel meter, but it is considerably louder than 52 decibels, an unpleasant tone. And when you've got a load on it, it is just flat out loud. I'm not saying that to beat up on this particular generator. These type of generators are just like that. Here's another one that I previously had. I bought this one for doing mobile repairs. I just wanted to charge my batteries and run a 1500 watt heat gun, and it did that just fine. I actually put thousands of hours on this unit in the off-grid setting unintentionally. That's not what I originally purchased it for. Now, this doesn't have like any, what I'm going to say, weatherproofed switches, but they are weatherproof. This thing just got left outside in the rain. It is not dual fuel. It doesn't have an hour meter. If it did have an hour meter, or I put a vibration sensitive hour meter on this, it probably would have lasted a lot longer. I didn't do that great with the oil changes on this just because I never really knew how many hours that I had on it since the last one, so that's on me. But this was a really fantastic generator. If you needed something that was in this power range, I would highly recommend this. This is a good one. After that blew up, I bought what I'm going to call its bigger brother. You can see I bought that with my own money, also from Amazon. This one has a peak power range of 2350 watts. And I'm not sure what the low side was. It wasn't much more. It was like 17 or 1800 watts. Similar thing. This one ended up blowing up on me. Not after all that long, in my opinion. Every once in a while you get a bad one, and I've had that situation with the Duramax 2300. That thing dropped the valve at like 900 hours, which is kind of wild, but they replaced it under warranty, so it's going to be like that sometimes. Let's move on to this Predator 3500. Now, this purchase was completely unintentional. So my Duramax 4500 IH, the original one I had 7,000 hours on it. The starter failed. I was replacing it. I made a mistake there, to keep a long story short, and it was no longer running correctly. Now, I happen to have another Duramax 4500 IH brand new in the box, that was basically a replacement for the one I just mentioned under warranty at 300 hours. The starter solenoid failed. They didn't have that part available, so they had sent me another brand new one. Now, that is a $1,500 generator. So, I mean, that's standing tall. You know, when you're going to replace a generator, a $1,500 generator over a starter solenoid, that's great. Now, I bought an aftermarket one off of Amazon for like 16 bucks, put it on there, and just kept running it. So that brand new Duramax 4500 that was replaced under warranty, I pulled it out of the box and it would not start. I did everything. I'm ASC Master certified. I could not get that thing running. It was going to be 18 degrees that night, and it already had been down for hours. And we needed heat. You know, I've got these two dogs. Miss Lily, the old pit, after 58, she's done. You know, she started shivering and stuff like that. So I just ran down to the local Harbor Freight and picked this generator up. It was 800 bucks before tax. And it just ended up being great. Now, this is their warranty. I have not had any experience with their warranty. What was explained to me in the store was that if I choose to return it, there would be a $20% restocking fee if I chose to not purchase another generator. If I wanted to up or downgrade to a different model, there would be no restock fee. But you can see here, you know, some of the basic specs. They're saying that this is 56 decibels. To me, if it is 56 decibels, it is, but it is very quiet, a pleasant tone. That wheel rattling thing is something that needs to be fixed for me personally, but if it doesn't bother you, that's fine. I chose not to return this just because it bailed me out of a jam, and I thought that it was very refreshing to have something that was that much quieter. Let's move on to this Duramax 4500 IH. Now, this is what I'm going to call like the Cadillac of generators. It's got all the features: dual fuel, remote start, push button start. All the connectors are weatherproofed. It's got that power center that tells you how many hours your, hertz, the frequency or whatever, and your loads. A lot of great stuff going on there. My favorite thing about this generator is the remote start. So you can see some of the specs here. It's 223 cc's. You can see a lot of the other stuff. This is a fantastic generator. Like I said, my original one failed. The starter solenoid failed at 300 hours. They sent me a brand new one, free shipping over a starter solenoid failure, and I just kind of tucked that thing away. And I replaced the starter at 7,000 hours and made some type of mistake, so I got to figure that out still. But let's just say I killed it at 7,000 hours. So, that's a great value for $1,500. If you can get 7,000 hours out of a generator, that's winning all day. Would I recommend this? Yes. Would I buy it again? Yes. Unfortunately, they have discontinued this, but if you wanted to get a used one, I'm sure you could find one. Anything in a couple thousand hour each, I would still buy it. Now, they advertise this at 65 decibels. I don't have a decibel meter. I don't consider it to be too loud. It is louder than that Predator. But what are you going to do? You know what I mean? It is what it is. Just to clarify my comment about the replacement 4500 IH not starting, I found a unplugged wire, and that's why it wasn't starting. However, this thing has been a little quirky. It just randomly shuts off. I ended up finding that I guess it was triggering the low oil shutoff. I unplugged that and it seemed like it was fine, and then it was still shutting off, and I found that it was still saying low oil with the oil sensor unplugged. So there's got to be something upstream from that. I don't know what it is. That's a little irritating, so the replacement one has me a little irked. All right, so back to these generators. So my main theme about this is, you know, small generators like this 2300 IH or the WEN 2000 or 2300 versus something like this Predator 3500. In my opinion, unless you're like, hey, I need to have something that's lighter. Like these smaller ones are about 50, 60 pounds. Now this Predator is about 110 pounds. That's a little bit much for somebody to be picking up in and out of the car, like just a regular guy or some chick. But if you were like doing something with a pop-up camper or some boondocking or whatever, I would recommend this Predator over one of these smaller ones. It is just too loud. You're going to make people upset. It's going to annoy you. You don't have enough available power. I personally would never buy one of these again. Is that Predator going to last? I don't know. But my point is, I personally would not purchase one of these smaller generators. I would get something that's more what I'm going to call a mid-size generator, like this 3500. I'm considering just getting rid of this XP2300 IH. The only time that it's really of any value to me is during the day when I'm just running, you know, the refrigerator and the freezer, and I'm only pulling about, you know, 400 watts. It basically is more fuel efficient. It's definitely not quieter than the Predator, but it is more fuel efficient. But to me, I would rather burn more fuel and have it be quieter. So that's just going to be up to you. In regards to these smaller ones, if your needs are something small, light, and fuel efficient, then maybe that's right for you. But I would suggest getting a cheaper model and putting a vibration sensitive hour meter on it so you can keep up on your oil changes. But if you're wanting something that's not going to get super loud when you throw a load on it, you might want to step up to something like this Predator 3500. It's quiet, it's not as affected as far as noise goes based on loads, and then you can get one from a Harbor Freight just about anywhere around the country. I'm not sure how their warranty program is, but maybe I would assume that you could just go into the store and get another one in a pinch, whereas with these other models, you've got to deal with off-site warranty and stuff getting shipped and mailed around. It's going to be a case-to-case basis, but you know, this last time I needed a replacement on this 2300 IH, it took, I guess it was 2 or 3 weeks for me to get a replacement unit. They wanted me to ship it back to them so they could inspect it, and then they had sent me out a replacement. And I would prefer not to deal with that again. If I could just walk into a Harbor Freight tool store, I would rather drive there than drive to the FedEx to ship it, you know, off and then come back empty-handed. At least if I went and drove to a Harbor Freight, I could potentially come home with a replacement unit. So I hope this was helpful for you guys. If you have any questions or comments, shoot them off in the comments section. You know, like I said, I'm not an expert. I don't have a decibel meter, but I'm using these things every day in a real-world setting, and I've clocked a lot of hours on a number of different generators. And this is just my thoughts and feelings about these. So hopefully this is helpful for you. If you can, please like, share, and subscribe. I'd like to grow this channel. I'm currently not monetized. You know, I just got to hit 500 subscribers to get my, you know, monetization, if you will. But if this was any value to you, hit the subscribe button, even if you don't want to watch some more videos. I would greatly appreciate it. Take care, and God bless.